Hi, everybody. Lee Scott here. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. We talk about life, leadership, and legacy. And we want to help you discover the leadership within. I'm so excited that you are here, and I'm glad that you have been with us throughout this season. If you have not done it yet, go and subscribe to Leading with Lee on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. So today I'm super excited because this is a recap episode of this season. And what a season has it been? And there's been so many things that have happened throughout this year and so many things that have happened here on Leading. And so before I preemptively share about what's going to happen, I just want to tell you about something that's coming up next week. And I'm super excited because I'm going to end the season with two people I love so much. But I'll talk more about that later. But today I'm going to do three things. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of recap some moments from this season where you've heard from me. You've seen me a lot on this year's episodes of Leading with Lee, because a lot of last year was a lot of interviews. And I've gotten to share probably more than I've ever gotten to share here on Leading. And I'm so glad that you've heard from me and that you've been impacted by the thing. So I'm gonna share some moments from this season where I got to share and some things that I thought were super impactful. And then also I'm going to share some of the guests that have come on Leading that have really, really inspired or made a difference for some folks who might be watching on social media and different things like that, and have been impacted. And then lastly, I want to share some of my favorite moments that I'm thinking about reflecting upon as it relates to this season of Leading with Lee and what we look forward to in 2023. So without further ado, I just want to share some of my favorite moments from this season of Leading with Lee. Check this out. Men in general, we for some reason think it's weak to talk about our issues. We think it is weak to have a conversation about what is going on with us, because we think that it's not okay for us to feel broken. And listen, I wasn't intending to do this, but I feel like this is necessary. Whatever man that is listening to this, bro, it's okay. You don't have to be Superman. You don't have to make every decision by yourself. You don't have to sit there and deal with the depravity of your soul. You don't have to deal in the darkness. Bro, I get it. I know there are ladies that are dealing with a lot of mental health issues, but I want to just specifically talk to men real quick. Man, I get it. I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to feel suicidal. I know what it's like to feel like there's nothing I should be living for. I know what that feels like. There have been seasons in my life where I asked myself, like, did you do enough? Did you fit? Like, what could you have said to save this relationship? What could you have done to save this friendship? What and blaming myself for things that I couldn't control. I was blaming myself for stuff that I had no control of. Sir, I need you to realize and see that you can get help. That it's okay that you feel that way, but it's not okay for you to stay that way.
Things are possible to those who actually believe that they are possible. Possibility is literally around us. It's always around us. But the problem that we have in our culture is we have been warped and dumbed down and taught that we only can function at the level that people are comfortable with. And the reality is, the world needs you to be you. The world needs you to be authentic. The world needs you to function in your greatest capacity. But can you see yourself functioning in that space?
I think a lot of these things we talk about situations that's going on in our society as a whole, particularly in America, is that a lot of things are nuanced. We never approach those things with nuance. We often assume that it's just black and white, and a lot of times it's really not. There's a lot of gray. There's a lot of gray. There's very and here's even more interesting is if we say there's no gray, then let's have a conversation about the fact that there's actually different shades of white and there's different shades of gray. White is not just one color. Black is not just one color. There are shades of white and there are shades of black. And if you understand that there is degrees to which we can have an understanding or a view of a thing, you will actually understand how do we approach these issues with a level of nuance and a level of understanding that acknowledges that everybody that I come in contact with will not necessarily have the same opinion because they may not have the same experience as me. And also, if they had a similar experience, that does not mean that they're going to respond the same as you will respond. You need to understand that you cannot copycat your way to being successful. You have to realize that you have to have a singular focus about how you show up or impact the world. You can take some ideas and take some understanding from other people, but you got to recognize you got to know how to be yourself in that space. And I'm kind of stepping into my second point already, but my major point to you is the less something is produced, the more valuable rather. All these things because they believe this crisis is unnecessary. My question for you is, will you be willing to pay the price for what you believe? Are you going to be willing to stand up in moments where there are individuals who are trying to encroach upon what you say and what you think matters? It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Are you going to be willing to stand up for something? Because that takes courage. What crisis does, it reveals who is actually courageous and who actually believes that what is happening can change. And my question for you is, are you going to do whatever it takes to make sure that people know where you stand on the issue? It may not be you going outside protesting, but it may be you changing relationships. It may be you getting different friendships. It may be you stop watching certain things, or you stop going certain places, or you actually start reading certain things, or you actually engage with people in a different way. It may be a variety of things for you. It may be a different thing for anybody that's listening or watching this. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to do whatever is necessary because you believe that is worth it. Oh man, wasn't that great? I really enjoyed sharing those perspectives about different things that are concerning leadership. I really, really enjoyed sharing some of those thoughts I have been having for most of the year and getting an opportunity to share with you some of the things that has been processing in my mind. And so I hope that you were enjoyed those episodes, and I hope that you were inspired when you watched those episodes. And if you hadn't done it, go back and watch them if you have not done that yet at this point in the season. And I promise you, you would not be disappointed. But like I said earlier, I am super excited because I had some incredible guests come on Leading, and they were so inspiring and so impactful. And so here are some of the clips of those individuals who shared with us and who made a difference on Lead with Lee. Check this out.
How I approach things, how I handle business, how I handle kids, how I handle myself. I can no longer just make decisions and it just be on my own and I'm good. I can't just keep on going or whatever.
Yep.
If I'm used to a single person with no kids, being a single person, you're used to just governing yourself.
Yep.
But now you're in a relationship, in a marriage where, oh, okay, I can't just do that without a thought. I have to consult my boo. I have to consult my husband, or I have to consult my wife, that type of thing. That's something that I had to learn majorly. Like, okay. And I'm a strong woman. I'm a tough lady. I'm so grateful that he hung in there because this one was real rough. Okay. But having to learn, okay, I need to turn to him and say, hey, babe, what do you think about this? I can't just go out and spend money.
Yeah.
Even if I made it, I got to turn and still be like, this is ours now.
Yeah.
How do we do this? Wow. It's a whole different dynamic.
Me and Sarah's paths and trajectory of what our vision is for our individual lives are just fine, that they're individualized because we also are united in this relationship goal, this relationship vision to have a happy family, to have a great marriage, to have, phenomenal children, to have a happy cat and dog, like
Come
we
on, phenomenal children and a happy cabin dog.
where we have this vision for our relationship and how our marriage should be. And we're working on that every day, but we're also working on each of our own individual visions for our lives and where we know God has called us to be.
Yeah.
And that's even separate than what our business is called to do. And so there can be multiple visions, but a lot of people, whenever they're dating or they're looking at a marriage or they're looking at this, they'll say, oh, well, my spouse isn't like yours. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. So therefore I can't make my marriage work because, she didn't go to Bible college.
Ooh.
She didn't have this.
Wow.
She didn't do this. And now I can't make my marriage
Wow.
work. You're projecting all of this onto your spouse whenever you should be continually growing every single day to be a better person.
Yeah.
And that's going to make your marriage better.
The reason or at least I believe it hits differently when you have just that knowledge is because information and application, that equals transformation. So like you really get to experience stuff on another level. When you learn something, you actually apply what you learn without hesitation or delay. And then, you'll get the result you're looking for. But if you got
Talk that talk, sir.
Man, but not for real. If you got information, but there's no implementation or application, it's just gonna lead to frustration. You're just gonna be mad at at the fruit that you think you would get, but you're not gonna get it because you didn't sow. So yeah.
What you are allowed to do is you're allowed to compromise on things that don't hold any weight of value. What you are not allowed to do is sacrifice your soul or your life to please somebody else that'll change up on you as quick as you change up on them.
Right.
That's real. That's just life.
Heartbeat.
If you can remember that, you're good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the difference right there, right? It's in marriages, I can sacrifice this TV show. It don't compare to this.
Yeah.
I can sacrifice those $300 sneakers I want. It don't compare to this. I can sacrifice that meal I really wanted today because I'll get to eat it another day.
Yeah.
Yep.
What I cannot sacrifice is I cannot sacrifice on my beliefs and what I stand and hold true to my heart and my character because I'm changing for you and not for me.
Right.
And that
In
is
our first year of marriage, one other piece of advice that I would give to those who are seeking marriage. I believe I had the phrase, bury your expectations. And I think that's so key.
Say it again. Run that back.
Bury your expectations. Yeah, because that is one thing that we've constantly had of like, you as an individual, you have expectations of what it's going to look like, what you thought, the day was going to be, what you thought the week was going to be, what you thought, parenting was going to be, marriage, all of these things. And so you come in with those as individuals, but as a couple, it doesn't always look that way. And our first year of marriage was truly burying our expectations of what we thought this marriage was going to look like, what we thought it would be, and going from that point on.
Man, that was so great. I enjoyed having those guests on here on Leading with Lee, and they were so phenomenal. Every couple that came on, and even our friend Henry Goss who came on. I mean, it was super exciting to have all these people come on and say yes to me. One of the things that has really, really been impactful for me over the years is people saying yes. And as I reflect in these last few moments of this episode, I promise you, I've never been more blessed by people saying yes to me. I mean, the guests that have come on, from Evan Dugood of Be Heard Movement to people like Jackie, the educator who runs the Black Christian Influencers Organization, and people like Motivational Dre, and folks like my friend Megan Pinckney, and folks like Megan Pinckney, and other folks that have come on throughout the seasons and have said yes, Celia Armstrong, and different individuals who have come on and said yes. It has been really impactful to have these folks in this space, and I share about leadership and talk about their impacts on my life. And so it's been a really, really great 3 years so far with leading, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities I've gotten to share about life, leadership, and legacy, but also get perspectives from people and about things that really matter. And these people have been super, super, super impactful to me, but also I hope over the years they've been impactful for you. And I promise you, those interviews were a labor of love. And I'm so grateful that I got to interview those people. And one thing I would say about this season of leading is you have seen me more than you've ever seen me before. And I've talked about topics from mental health. I've talked about how that affects your leadership and how it can shape the way you see the world. I've talked about impact and how all of us have a level of it. I've actually defined leadership from my perspective. I have even talked about money and how finances affect the way we see ourselves and the way we operate as it relates to this topic of leadership and making a difference in our world. And I think all these moments where I've unpacked issues or talked about issues or engaged on a particular topic, it's because I really believe that every person has a capacity and level of leadership, but I also believe in you. And when you watch and listen to these episodes, I hope and my prayer is that you have been inspired to do something and inspired to go out in the world and be a difference maker and change our society and culture. And with that being said, I promise you, I'm super excited about what we have to come in this next year of Leading with Lee. Next year, I really, really am planning and processing some stuff now as we close the year out. I'm processing what it will look like to bring in voices that particularly speak to issues that are solution oriented. One of the things I'm going to be talking about a lot next year, and I'm just kind of preemptively telling you this, is leading from where you are. That's kind of been a subject that's been in my heart and my mind for a long time, but really unpacking that topic because I really believe that all of us can make a difference in the world. We need to get more centralized in our approach and get more intentional about how we're going to move in our world. And I'll probably start off the season talking about that subject and unpacking it in a unique and powerful way. But I think all of us have something to give to the world. And you and I both know that in this life, we have choices, we have decisions to make. And so with that being said, we should know that in those decisions, we can choose to be a person of impact or choose to be reactionary to everything that happens. And so I hope that you will be inspired. And I hope that you have been inspired throughout this season to step up to the plate and be the person that's a difference maker. Because the reality is the world can't change without you. The world needs you to be involved and engaged so that effective things can come into place because you have the answers and you have the capacity to change the world around you. And so this next year is going to be really great. We're going into year 4 of Leading with Lee. And I've been doing this for the last 4 years. And I promise you, I've grown as a person. I have so many different experiences. I have so many things that I have not shared here on Leading with Lee yet that I'm super excited to share about and talk about at some point. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed in this coming episode of Leading with Lee. And I look at the last year of my life, how I've spent the last year back in my hometown, back in my home state, and how that has shaped a lot of the perspective that I've had over the last few years. And it really has actually validated some of the things I've been dreaming about and thinking about, and some of the things that's happening in my personal life and professional life. It has validated some dreams that I've had. It's validated some perspective that I've had. It's validated some things that I believe that I'm here to do. And so my hope for you is that as you continue throughout this holiday season, that you'll be reflective, that you'll take some moments to think about what you have accomplished this year and what you are building on for next year. Even the moments where you feel like you failed are moments that actually can propel you forward. The reality is that we should continue to fail and fail forward, because falling forward means that you're making progress. And so I'm so excited that you are getting the opportunity to wrap up this season with me and get a chance to hear from me as I go into 2023. And I'm so excited because 2022 has been an impactful and transformative year in my life in some positive ways and in some hard ways. And I'm grateful for every single moment that I've gone through. And so I want to tell you about our season finale right now. I'm so excited because I hope that you will tune into our season finale next week, because I have 2 people that are the most important people in my life and the most, they actually are the reason why I'm literally sitting here. Next week, I have my parents, Lee and Valerie Scott. And I hope that you will tune in to next week's episode. It's going to be so great. We're going to talk about legacy And I hope that you will be with us that time. So thank you for watching or listening to this week's episode. I'm super excited. Much love, and let's get started. And we see you next week here on Leading with Lee. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. If you have not done it yet, subscribe on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. If you want to get more information and connect with me, visit me at www.leeascott.com or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lee A. Scott II or Lee A. Scott II. So thank you for watching, much love, and let's get started.